father said to me, he said, "Son, don't you ever worry about growing old." He says, "Don't you ever worry about growing old?" And I said, "Well, Father, what really worries me is that I'll get the chance to grow old. I mean, I sometimes wonder whether they're going to let us. But if I do grow old, then it's going to be just fine because I've got so many friends. I've got so many friends. I've got one to love me. I've got one to make love to me. I've got one to lend me clothes. I've got one to take me dancing. I've got four to keep me warm at night. I've got seven to pick me up when I'm down. I've got seven to pick me up anyway. I've got," he said, "but don't you get scared?" I said, "Well, when I get scared, I just call up one of my friends." He said, "Won't you be lonely?" I said, "When I'm lonely, I just call up my friends." He said, "Who's going to cook your dinner?" I said, "I'll cook the dinner. I'll invite some friends round. You can bring the wine." He said, "Who's going to take you to the hospital?" I said, "Well, I'll just call up one of my friends." He said, "You don't have a wife. You won't have any children. You don't even drive a car." I said, "It's going to be all right. It is going to be all right because I've got so many friends." I called up my first friend and he said, "I'll be right over." And I opened the door and he held out his hand. He took me in his arms and he held me tight and he held on to me. He held me together. He held me down. He laid me down and he made love to me all night long. And then I called up my second friend and he said, "Hello." And I said, "I'm sorry, I really don't know why I'm calling you. It's 3 o'clock in the morning." And he said, "It's okay." Okay, I was up anyway. And I said, "Yeah, but I don't know why I'm calling you." He said, "It's okay. I can't sleep either. I don't know anyone who can these days." And I called up my third one. Well, he's not a friend, really. I just let him down the pub. It's the same every weekend. I say to myself, don't do this to yourself. Don't do it. But what can you do? There you are, 3 o'clock in the morning, you're going home together. Of course, we couldn't get a taxi. 3 o'clock, she is walking in the middle of the bloody road, singing her head off. And I said, well, what is she like? She's like a child. She's like my sister. She's like a mother to me, that one. She's my best girlfriend. And I called up my fourth friend, but he was there, so I called my fifth friend, and I said, "I'm so sad." He said, "It would be better to be angry." I said, "I'm so sad." He said, "It would be better to be angry." I said, "But I'm so sad." He said, "You might feel better if you practiced getting angry." I called up my sixth friend, and he said, "Look, got no more good advice to give you, but I can give you this if you think it'll make you feel better." And he gave me a big bottle of red wine, and on the label he'd written, "I know just how you feel." And that's what you need sometimes, is someone else who knows just exactly what it feels like. And so I called up my seventh friend, and my seventh friend lends me his books, he lent me his records, he cooked me dinner, he drove me home, and he put me to bed. He listened to my story, he heard me out, he taught me out of it, he disagreed with me, he knew what he was saying, he knew what he was talking about. He made 5 practical suggestions about how I could improve my situation. And my friend checks me for bruises. He called me back to make sure that I'm still all right. He lets me cry for as long as I want to. When we're walking down the street, he holds onto my hand, and he never lets go, not ever. And my ninth friend said, "Do you know, I haven't had this much fun in 3 years." My 10th friend said, "Darling, I think I'm going to like you with white hair." And my father said, "But who's going to come to your funeral?" And I said, "Well, that's what friends are for."
I'm proud.